At the top of the newscast, our national capital sacked. Not since 1814 has our capital been taken, this time not by foreign enemies, but American citizens for the first time ever. And 156 years after the end of the Civil War, the Confederate battle flag made its way into the halls and chambers of Congress. Yeah, that's real what you're looking at. Hundreds, if not thousands, of pro-Trump supporters storming the Capitol building, all angry over Congress's duty to certify the Electoral College votes. The rioters aiming to put a stop to the certification of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's victory. All this chaos resulting in the death of 4 people. We go to our Audra El-Nashar with more on what will surely go down as one of the darkest days in United States history.
Let's get back to work.
Peace restored inside the U.S. Capitol following a day of chaos.
This temple to democracy was desecrated.
The certification of Electoral College votes finalizing in the early morning hours Thursday.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are lawfully elected and will become the president and the vice president of the United States.
The House and Senate,
The objection is not sustained.
voting against objections made by some Republicans.
The best way we can show respect for the voters who are upset is by telling them the truth.
The riot causing other Republicans to change their minds about objecting the election results, like recently defeated Georgia Senator Kelly Loeffler.
There is no excuse for the events that took place in these chambers today, and I pray that America never suffers such a dark day again.
On Wednesday, it took hours and law enforcement from several states to get the rioters under control. Many blaming President Trump for the day's violence.
Extremism is an enormous problem in this country. And Donald Trump is just, throwing matches all over, the powder kegs in this country.
Seen here breaching the Capitol building, resulting in vandalism, injuries, and 4 people dead. Now, some lawmakers may be tasked with looking into just how these rioters managed to breach the U.S. Capitol building and how many of them will face consequences. On Capitol Hill, I'm Audra El-Nashar.
And the president just a few hours ago releasing a statement. In part, the president said that he's continuing to disagree with the free and the fair election results, but he has finally agreed and has committed to an orderly transition on January the 20th. Of course, the president has spent the last 2 months refusing to concede to this election. And when asked in the days following the election in November, he hadn't committed to a peaceful transition. Now, the president had to issue that statement from a media team member's Twitter account because the president's account has been locked. That happened after Twitter deleted several of the president's tweets that had been deemed to incite violence. Now, one of the biggest changes of the day was Senator Loeffler changing her tone during that certification process. Fresh off of her defeat to Raphael Warnock yesterday, the senator made her way to the Capitol with every intention to object, but following all the violence and chaos, she took to the Senate floor saying she could no longer move forward with that plan.
When I arrived in Washington this morning, I fully intended to object to the certification of the electoral votes. However, the events that have transpired today have forced me to reconsider, and I cannot now in good conscience object to the certification of these electors. The violence, the lawlessness, and siege of the halls of Congress are abhorrent and stand as a direct attack on the very institution my objection was intended to protect, the sanctity of the American democratic process.
Now, before the Capitol was stormed, around a dozen senators had committed to objecting to those electoral votes. But after all of the sad events yesterday, that number fell to 6. And several past presidents, they're also reacting to the violence yesterday. Former President George W. Bush issued a statement saying it is a sickening and heartbreaking sight. This is how election results are disputed in a banana republic, not our democratic republic. And then former President Bill Clinton in a statement said, "We faced an unprecedented assault on our Capitol, our Constitution, and our country. The assault was fueled by more than 4 years of poison politics spreading deliberate misinformation, sowing distrust in our system, and pitting Americans against one another." And then Barack Obama, the former president, he had this to say. He says, history will remember today's violence at the Capitol incited by a sitting president who has continued to baselessly lie about the outcome of a lawful election. As a moment of great dishonor and shame for our nation, but we'd be kidding ourselves if we treated it as a total surprise. And then former President Jimmy Carter also releasing a statement, in part saying that he, along with Rosalind, are troubled by the violence and saying this national tragedy is not who we are as a nation. He went on to say that he knows the American people can and must unite together to return from this moment to peacefully uphold the laws of our nation. And David Perdue, he's also released a statement on the event happening on Capitol Hill, calling it a disgrace and un-American. He went on to say that no level of frustration or disappointment in our political process excuses such despicable anarchic behavior. And we got some sound from Congressman Sanford Bishop after the chaos at the Capitol. The congressman was safe in his office away from the Capitol building during the rioting, and as the dust settled, he returned to the Capitol to confirm the Electoral College votes, and he has some pretty strong words for our president.
I think it's despicable, it's appalling, and I think it displays a disrespect for our Constitution and for the traditions of our country. I believe that it created a real peril for the health, safety, and welfare of the people in the Washington, D.C. area, the people who work in the Capitol, the members of the Senate and the House. And I think it was ill-advised, and it's unfortunate that he encouraged that group to gather.
And on a day when Georgia's 2 Senate seats were decided, Governor Brian Kemp talked about the chaos in Washington. Kemp spoke following rioters breaking into the U.S. Capitol building, and our governor, he didn't mince any words.
Just want to make a few comments about the activities that we've seen today and let you know, in my opinion, that has been a disgrace and, quite honestly, un-American.
Governor Kemp pointed out that there were peaceful protests across Georgia all summer long and says that the state did not and will not allow, quote, anarchy. The violence that erupted at the Capitol has captured the attention of millions of people. Straight ahead, we're going to be taking a look at the history behind the riots here in America. Don't go anywhere.